and welcome to the very first, I do mean very first, mid-best, and yeah, I said mid-best, World Warrior Tournament. We've had some upsets, we've had some nasty matches lead up to this top 8, and it's going to get even more disgusting. My name is St. Cole. I'm joined with Brad, my G. How you doing, dog?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to be back. I'm excited to be checking this out. I have a mid-best t-shirt upstairs that I almost wore for this, but the day got away from me, so it's gonna have to be for another day, unfortunately. So I'm with y'all in spirit. I'm here in practice, here to watch, and we're gonna have some awesome matches here up in this top 8. I know we're preparing to bring our first players in, but why don't you walk the people through the bracket as we got it going so far?
People, let me just hit this top 8 for you. It's a little bit different than what you might expect. Let me pull this guy up here. Stealth versus KOLIBRI is our first match. Those two have been deadly in the offline and online. We saw KOLIBRI taking down Kobe on at CEO, and Stealth doing mad work over at Texas Showdown. So nothing surprising over there. Jack versus Hamad. Hamad out here on the Honda of all things. And of course, Jack, one of our strongest players in the U.S. and in the world just in general. But in loser side, we have Sevens versus Young Tate. And Mia versus Marv. No Dual Kevin, no El Chicote. That just goes to show how demonic these brackets are getting right now in the mid-best. And I feel like people have been watching people grind things out offline, have been getting used to the patch, and it's been creating like a bigger area of dominant players that I can't wait to see travel out. But right here, we're going to get a lot of that action right now.
Yeah, I think in general, and this has been interesting to watch on Street Fighter 6, I feel like the barrier of entry to being able to really hang at that highest level, like more and more players are able to get into that sort of 98, 99%, and then still scrape it up with that like 0.1% of players who are super, super solid. And it's just the level of competition that you can see across the board, right? Like it really feels like no name is a guarantee most of the time.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, when we look at these brackets, we expect obviously Jack, Dual Kevin, Flash, the people that have been the most dominant in our World Warriors for Street Fighter 5, for Street Fighter 6. You'd expect them to be out here, but they're not always appearing. And as you mentioned, I think the skill level has risen. There are things in this game definitely that help out with that, but I think overall, we've seen consistency definitely matter. We've seen it over with Lashar, winning tournaments back-to-back offline with some of the most stacked you'd ever see for Street Fighter 6. So I think there's an element of being consistent. It's just trying to find that. And also, as I said, players watching CEO or attending CEO, being emboldened by running sets or saying, man, I want to get better. I want to be like these cats out here, and understanding that there's only a one person qualifying out of all these tournaments now for the World Warrior is even more of a deadly proposition to jump in and fight it out. So you have to be on your P's and Q's the entire time. Every time you enter a World Warrior is going to matter even more so. You're going to have to get the top spot to get that top 8, and of course hit the finale at the very end of this year.
Yeah, I mean, not trivial at all. And you were speaking to the nature of competition, even just in the Midwest area. Like, it's not going to be a breeze for anybody.
No.
So what that means for all of us, people like you and I and all of our viewers at home, is we get to watch every month some absolutely stellar Street Fighter. And to sort of piggyback on your point about, like, there is consistency, I think in general, a lot of people tend to overblow how they feel more modern games can be inconsistent. Isn't even the word that I want to use, because it feels so inaccurate. I think it's just that some of these more modern engines, and in particular, I'm thinking of Street Fighter 6, I think there are very specific practices and techniques that, if you're not on the money for them, are going to completely dismantle you if somebody is able to expose it. That's things like not knowing how to handle DI as the defensive player. Things like not being able to check drive rushes against characters where you can reasonably do that, or being able to, play a solid footsie game. There are these fundamental skills that are enough to carry you up to a spot like this, and then you're playing that game of inches with your opponent where it's really about a mind game.
And I think even on top of all this, there's like a lot of play styles that are kind of difficult to deal with. We saw like people from Chile doing things like wake up OD fireball, sweep, and stuff like that. And you have to be prepared for different sorts of those play styles coming. You might fight a character, but this is very much a player-to-player type game, in my opinion. And speaking of, when we're talking about what these players are doing differently, KOLIBRI, active, aggressive with it, going up against Stealth as our very first match of this top 8. Let's get it.
Yep, and we have JP versus Ryu. I know everybody talking about how Ryu is like the winner of this patch. I gotta say, I feel like it's been a really long time since I've played a Street Fighter title where Ryu was a character that you had to be afraid of. I'm happy to see him back. Doesn't have the DP on the up back, and Stealth is able to get the knockdown, sets up the portal back to mid-range.
Yeah, there's a drive rush in with a stand medium kick. As much range as you can get off that button and that drive rush, you'll take that trade. And KOLIBRI needs to be able to advance a little bit more. Yeah, get back in the green so you can drive rush up. If you want to go for an OD fireball, you have to watch your 6. You got hit.
I wonder whether there was time to uppercut there. It felt like the throw was early enough that you might have been able to. I wonder if there was like some hesitation about ODDP versus regular because of how low the drive gauge was. I think you could have forced one more interaction, but you know, it's also still early in the set. You got to get mindful to it, but that's twice now that up back has blown up throw with portal in the back. That's something KOLIBRI definitely needs to be mindful for. Plus frames getting smoked, and Stealth just has a good read on when KOLIBRI is going to start being active on defense and blowing it up.
Yeah, using that heavy kick, that plus from scenario as you mentioned. Big old button leads to full screen. And this is, yeah, you have to spin OD Fireball. You got to spin some sort of OD Fireball instead of like Drive Rush. It's going to have to be the play here. Keep that bar for that exact point to get the knockdown and try to walk on in. But as soon as I help itself, it's just like, that's cool. I'm going to go into my level 3 after this. Pierce, beforehand, it was Departure. It was making it snap. And it won't kill, excuse me. But OD Departure will lock KOLIBRI down. It's a one-touch scenario.
Yeah, the portal's in the back. KOLIBRI's had a very hard time. Wow, dash goes unanswered, gets the back throw. ODDP, we got the pickup. CA in the back. That should be enough, right?
Let it rip. Yeah, this is over. CA means extra damage on the way. You are definitely better than dead. But that does mean no level 3 at this last round. Same with South. They both spent their bar. This is over. KOLIBRI able to pull it back from the brink. That was looking horrible for her.
No, absolutely. And I love starting to use the Hasho a little bit. It's sort of a fireball feint built into the kit. I feel like this full screen position for KOLIBRI hasn't really worked. I like that they're taking some more active movement to try to move into a range that's a little bit better for them, really using the fireball in a range where Stealth wants to go for like towards Roundhouse. Okay, nice pickup.
Yeah, Stealth trying to go for that raw departure. Unfortunately, not clear for flight. Stand Fierce, Hashogeki, DP Ender, frame kill, meaty fireball, so you cannot amnesia, but Stealth able to block it out.
Waiting it out, love that solar plexus, but no, wanted for the spacing trap, not gonna work. Stealth gets the screen spacing back to how they want it. Portal keeps them safe. Okay. Oh, I thought that was gonna pick up.
I did too. I was like, that's what the land to the departure wasn't able to, but Stealth has been, you know, dominant in this range. And
oh no,
at this point you've tapped parry a little bit too often, stuffed a lot of fake outs to make them waste the bar. Level 2 coming through. All it takes is one overhead just like this to get the pickup. Back to full screen. KOLIBRI hasn't even got health after drive gauge back. Yeah, what can you do? You can maybe set off like a level 1 if you're hopeful, but Stealth will interrupt it with a Pierce. So that's the first game, a stealthy one.
There were definitely moments there where you see KOLIBRI starting to find a game plan. I think it's twofold for me. One is there's a specific range that KOLIBRI needs to get to where they're able to sort of drive a little bit more, and stuff looks great there. Getting to that spot has been hard, 1. And 2, I feel like KOLIBRI is expecting a certain amount of patience defensively from Stealth that isn't there. And so KOLIBRI's leaving these wider gaps and then getting clipped when they try to claim the space back. Exactly like that. Going for a shimmy, wants to hit a button, clipped by the counter poke from Stealth.
Yeah, it's an odd amount of button interactions here from Stealth. And then when he takes the advantage, KOLIBRI's not expecting it. And Stealth usually better off in drive gauge department, which makes sense. A lot more of the projectiles, the pierces, and then is able to run OD just like this. Pierce again. Pure lockdown. That's what you want to do against someone like KOLIBRI. Wants to get aggressive with the buttons. Driver stay fierce. Hashogekis. Stay away from the danger. Punish the throw.
All right, how far are we going to press this? Using the level 1. And that is going to be enough to do it. Stealth up around now in this game, too. KOLIBRI needs to figure out how to be just a hair stickier when they get in that range. There's something about that timing. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of low forward used. Maybe that's a button to incorporate. It's been a lot of solar plexus and standing fierce.
Well, open the corner is going to work out better here at least. Dead. Has to be level 2, but you'll do that whatever it takes to get that kill. That shit Hashogeki will take him down. And KOLIBRI, again, like, you know, as you mentioned, I think you're right. Stay close. Stay sticky. Don't let him breathe. Crouch, even push off the drive rush. But that's the other problem. And now Stealth is like, I'll just initiate. Instead of waiting, go for like fake fireballs and stuff, I'll initiate with buttons.
All right, trying to move it forward, getting these parries on the zoning efforts out of Stealth. No, that's the second time now that teleport has happened where Kolibri's not been able to find the anti-air, and both landed as counter hits, so there was an attempt.
Yeah, Odie makes it really difficult to do it. You see the game spin, you can anti-air if you want to, but having two of those and the fact that we do see a lot of like forward momentum from Stealth makes it really difficult to have to deal with it all the time. Sweep the lows, overhead drive. But first, at the very last moment, great defense here from Kolibri. Has been a better bar, but could have been way worse.
I have a problem with this though, and it's that look how little drive gauge there now is from Kolibri. Like, sure, you weathered the storm of that, but there's like nothing left in the tank. And now Stealth with the extra overhead, you are very close to dying on ship. Yeah, one forced interaction was all it was going to take, and that's 2 games up for Stealth.
Damn, the jump back and just neutral jump mediums outside the range when you throw out a fireball. Very smart Stealth. Stealth understands how to keep that lead and take the game 2 games up and not letting Kolibri start the things that we've known her for. That nice CQC, you see, close range aggression. There we go. But as you mentioned, start off with too much drive gauge. Now the shimmy will reset back to full screen. You spend all this bar, and you have to get right back in. This is hell.
And that's the problem. It's been shimmy so often, and Stealth is doing a stellar job of walking back for a couple of frames, making the throw in the sort of strike throw situation whiff, and then getting the better of the post interaction. I feel like Kolibri needs to recognize that's coming to the table, stop going for these delayed throws, and recognize Stealth is going to walk back, clip with a delay low forward.
Yeah, that might have to be the adjustment here. We're going to last round. Yeah, Kolibri's going down. OD expenditure right there, Stealth. Better off, and not something about spending that bar. We'll definitely do so to get the victory. Set point in the cut. And I think more OD Fireball will definitely help out against some of these normals. You know, you're sending out Stand Fierce, Medium. The perfect pairs are there, but to switch things up and so they can't Amnesia, you have to use that bar for not Drive Rush. OD Fireball would be fantastic.
Clipping with the low short that time. But yeah, it, you know, representing the low to be able to beat that out, an unfortunate trade, but nice wake up crouch jab. Meaty from that. Going for more, trying to backdash, going for some sort of a shimmy. Kolibri has not earned the respect from Stealth that they're playing for. Finding a back throw to steal the corner position though. Meaty donkey kick.
There we go. The low. DP, level 3, expending all. That is a crazy amount of bar to have to expend to get the win right there. Kolibri just wants to get that momentum too. Sometimes like it looks like it's a lot and sometimes it is. But you just want that like mental push, like, hey, I can do this. I can still win. Even if it takes 3 bars to get the W, because I feel like Kolibri has only been using super to close things out, not really like get a lead or like use it for anything else. It's just to be able to close out the round. So definitely do this without the bar at the bottom, a little bit dry, but that's okay. Keep up your gauge in the green as much as possible.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? Because with the amount of health that Kolibri had, I think you could have played for, you know, 1 more interaction, saved the bar here. At such a meter deficit now, Stealth gets a massive lead the second they choose to cash out. Not even choosing to cash out there, getting incredible plus frames off of the portal, sending them back. About a 40% lead there for Stealth. And it's the Standing Fierce is the mid-range poke option from Kolibri again, and it's just not working out.
Stealth with a big lead, the interruption off the Drive Rush, and the super 3-0 over Kolibri. Stealth. Not very stealthy when it comes to these aggressive moments off the Drive Rush, the Stand Fierces, but we'll definitely take it from there. That was fantastic. The stop is stuff. Someone like Kolibri who is so active with Hashokekis, Drive Rush, Stand Fierce, things like that, be so confident. That takes a lot of work itself. I mean, someone said it in the chat, MVCI God has seen the marvelous mixes, and he's like, you know, I'll put it on you and I'll keep away from your damage. So he'll be moving on to the bracket. Kolibri down to loser. So I want to see more of that Ryu action. We'll catch it down there. We'll see how far she's able to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I spent a lot of that set talking about it from the perspective of Kolibri. And you know, I think the reason that I did that was Stealth just felt very in control that whole time. You highlighted that, you know, Kolibri was really only able to cash out bar to try to secure a round. I think across that whole set, Kolibri only got 2 or 3 rounds. Otherwise, Stealth was in complete control, setting the pace entirely, was checking drive rushes, was ensuring that Kolibri was playing at the spaces that JP is effective at. And whenever Kolibri was in the driver's seat and was able to start playing with some offense, Stealth made the correct defensive decisions a lot of the time and turned Kolibri's spacing traps into spacing traps of their own, generating opportunities for themselves out of their opponent's opportunities. So, I mean, that was a pitch perfect performance.
Very well done. You know, Stealth definitely deserved that. And